In this lesson, we'll begin to create some final textures for our mech. And when I mean final, I still want to iterate that we can change the look at any point in the project going forward simply by adjusting the fill layers. So we're going to put together our base materials, but still being very loose with it as we know we aren't tied down to any of these materials. Let's focus on the head portion only by disabling the legs and clearing all of my layers. When you create your materials, you want to build them in a fashion that they would be put together in real life. So this mech is made of metal. Now, in addition to using fill layers, there are also several material presets found in the shelf that we can use under the materials category. For this base metal, I'm simply going to use the iron rough, which I'll just drag and drop onto the layer palette. Now, these are great starting points for creating base layers, and these material presets are very much like brush presets we used earlier. Here we can dial in some parameters for the look we want. I'll lower the base color and just push the roughness up slightly, and finally adjust the finish scale up to around 6. Next is our paint layer. I'll add another fill layer, push the roughness value to about 0.5, and I'll just double click on the layer and name it paint. Next, we can duplicate this layer and create a glossier version. To duplicate a layer, you can right-click on the layer and choose Duplicate from the menu. This material is going to be a shinier plastic material, so I'll just lower the roughness to 0.2 and change the base color to a darker value like 0.01. And I'll just double-click on the layer and name it Glossy Paint. Lastly, we'll have a dirt material that will sit on top of everything. So I'll create another fill and choose something darker that looks a little bit more like dirt with a hint of brown and green into it. And we can just up the roughness to a full value since dirt isn't going to be very shiny, and just name this layer dirt. So our initial concept didn't come with a color palette, so it's really up to us to develop the color scheme through the entire texturing process. Now, I'm confident that we can change these values at any time because they're fill layers. For example, I'll just disable the dirt and glossy paint layers. If our mech is red, I can change the base paint to red. If it's going to be blue, we can also do that as well. I'll just undo to go back to the neutral gray for now. Now that we've taken the first step in creating final textures for our mech, our base materials are set up. Everything is essentially just sitting on top of one another. So the next thing to do is to begin to assign these materials to different parts of the mesh, which we'll be doing in the next lesson. At the end of this module, you should understand that you're painting a full material within Painter, which allows you to paint all channels at once, or channels in isolation if you choose to. The ability to go back into each channel via the layer palette after you have painted lets you adjust the blending modes and opacity to alter the look and feel. Always explore using the brush parameters and presets to build a brush that suits your needs when painting, and always remember to save your brushes for later use. This will provide a consistent look for future projects. Now, the most flexible and quick way of adding materials to a mesh is using the fill layer, as you can go and adjust each channel at any point in a very non-destructible fashion. In addition, Painter ships with several material presets, which can give you a head start in materialing, whether you're strapped for time or simply doing a previous art piece.